Hello and welcome to Newsnight. I'm Trevor McDonald, and as you know, I've been a television news presenter since the 1970s. For many years, I was one of the few black faces you ever saw. And if you live in Devon, I probably still am. So do not adjust your set, yokels. Stories making the headlines tonight. There's family tension at Windsor Castle as Princess Anne marches off to the Queen to complain about her corgis fouling the driveway. In Iraq, an acute shortage of equipment continues to hamper the Royal Engineers as they prepare their defences outside Basra. Providing expert analysis of the major news stories of the past 7 days is my news team, Marcus Brigstock, Sue Perkins and Reginald D. Hunter. This is the show where I set the news agenda, and every week we'll discuss my top 3 stories. So, starting at number 3. It's the row between Buckingham Palace and the BBC and the claim that the Queen stormed off during a photo shoot after a photographer asked her to remove her crown. Listen to this quote from the Daily Mail. When do the alarm bells start ringing for you? The production company responsible for filming the documentary, RDF Media, also made the series Faking It. Reg, what do you make of all this?
Well, I found particularly fascinating a news story I call Crown Gate. But there's been a misediting of what actually happened, and controller for BBC has been asked to resign, to which, to this point, he's said, fuck you. And, you know, I'm not losing my job over no bullshit. That's basically what he's saying. Excuse me, I don't mean to be cussing this much, but I'm frustrated. Yeah, should I start over or should I get to keep talking?
You could do what you like, Reg.
Yeah. See what happened when a black man run things.
You can do what you like, brother.
Typical of the litany of white oppression that we face on a daily basis.
So y'all just don't understand. Y'all ain't like me and Sir Trevor. We come from the streets. Anyway, Sir Trevor.
Yeah, mine is a pretty posh street, but that's
So Trevor, answer me a question. Since you've been knighted, Queen ever call you?
She calls me sir.
She calls you sir? Okay, then. That's a nice way of saying, roll up off of me, man.
And I believe you have a clip of the...
That's true, Sir Trevor. I do have a clip. Roll the tape. I'm gonna do it Sir Trevor won't.
This is what was shown of her royal photo shoot with Annie Leibovitz.
Look better without the crown. Less dressy, because the garter robe is so extraordinary.
Dressy? What do you think this is? I'm not changing anything. I'm not dressing like this. Thank you very much.
Well, a lot of people don't know is like that was her actually coming into the photo shoot rather than leaving, which is what the film tried to make it look like she was doing. And when she was coming in, when she said, I've had enough, she had just come from this new American buffet that opened around the corner. And, you know, she was feeling kind of, you know, a little constipated, and she was just upset because they kept trying to feed her. And, you know, she an old woman. She can't eat the way she used to, man.
When I read about this, I thought it was strange. You know, it doesn't matter how good a photographer you are, you can't say to the Queen, just pop your top off, love.
Yeah. Just loosen the blouse.
That's not on.
Well, she did get a little pissy about that because she wanted to wear the crown. I think she felt like if she didn't have the crown on, people just wouldn't recognize her. And,
Does anything make Americans dress up like that, Reg?
going to see the Rocky Horror Show, I think any ceremony that got a lot of Muslims or Jews in it, because they dress up in, like, you know, robes and stuff, and
What was this action?
Oh, well, like, not all Jews, but some...
to make that distinction, though, I think.
But some Jews have, like, this squiggly thing happening down the side of their head. I know there's, like, a name for it, but I just do that, you know. Some people say, I'm an Israeli Jew. They'll say, is he an Israeli Jew? Or is he like a European Jew? And I'll just go, no, he a Jew.
So when you go to the anti-Semites convention, would you dress like that?
Anti-Semites convention? You talking about the Muslims now. See, basically, the reason we saying all of these ridiculous things is that this is a ridiculous story. It don't really matter. This is not a controversy, and it's just a step up from Paris Hilton getting out of damn jail. So...
Thank you. Thank you, Reg. It's always interesting to hear your views on the royal family. Another picture of a royal caused embarrassment this week. Prince Charles was caught... Prince Charles was caught trying to award this pilot officer 2 medals at once.
It was organic.
We're moving on now to cyclist dads are nutters. We've all learnt to our cost that there's a thin dividing line between those fathers who exhibit a healthy competitive streak on behalf of their offspring and those who are, in fact, nutters, as is obviously demonstrated here.
Tour de France this year. Didn't go so well staging it in...
That's the last time it goes through Essex.
They won't do it.
A quick look now at some of the other stories making the news this week. Toronto-based teacher Dave Barclay flew 4,000 miles to attend his friend's wedding in Wales last week, only to discover that he was a year early. It's a total disaster for Dave. It now means that he's got to visit Wales twice. A radical shake-up has been proposed for the national curriculum. One aspect of the education debate is that Gordon Brown is keen to reintroduce the concept of competitiveness into school sport. He's hoping to prove there's no shame in, say, coming second all the time for 10 long, bitter years. Time now for another of my top 3 stories. And at number 2, it's the news that the report into the modelling industry has recommended that under-16s should no longer be used on catwalks. Model Erin O'Connor, who took part in the inquiry, said imposing minimum weight limits on catwalk girls would compromise the dignity of the models. Quite so. After all, no one wants to make them look stupid. Sue, what do you make of all this?
Well, this is the story that hopefully puts paid to all the other stories about size zero and the fashion industry. And this is the Model Health Inquiry, which have been set up to investigate issues of size and health. And they've declared that under-16 models are going to be banned from the catwalk, which, let's face it, is a very good idea. It frees teenage girls up to do the things that they should be doing, spitting, pouring cider into their mouths in public places and having babies. And that's vital. But what I enjoyed about the report was the people that contributed to it are... To say half-cocked is to give them half more of a cock than they deserve. The head of it, called Lady Kingsmill, which is a made-up name, let's face it, she said, and I quote, "This report won't bring about a revolution, but it is moving the peanut forward."
Something that a lot of models fear.
Can't do. But I have to say, I think it's, you know, the size zero debate rages, but they're not going to do anything about it. So it's a great shame. I think, you know, you see a woman and then you can actually see the outline of her pancreas. That's not sexy. Is
Too
that
fat,
sexy?
most of them.
So on the subject of weight loss, you were in a programme where you had to gain weight by living on an Edwardian diet for a week, weren't you?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Have you ever eaten a quail, recently slaughtered quail, wrapped in raw beef, wrapped in suet?
I must say I haven't.
3/4 of a stone in a week I put on.
You put on a supermodel?
Yeah, I basically, yeah. Just one there.
Just wrapped.
And one there.
My number 1 story is coming up later, but first, despite the billions spent on education over the past few years, regrettably, it still seems to be the case that young people can be idiots. This week, a young man decided to set fire to an aerosol can. Fairly idiotic, I'm sure you'll agree, but unfortunately for him, it didn't end there. Oh! Idiot connoisseurs, I'm sure, might like to see that again, this time in slow motion. Coming up on Newsnight, an exclusive report into how, as the commercial networks bag football, cricket, rugby and golf, a desperate BBC tries to compensate for its lack of live sporting action.
1, 2, 3.
Welcome back to Newsnight, the show in which I control the agenda, assisted by my news team of Marcus Brigstock, Sue Perkins and Reginald D. Hunter. The latest headlines. As the hunt for London Zoo's missing elephant continues, Metropolitan Police believe they may have found a clue. In London, a murder trial was halted after a Muslim woman was caught listening to her MP3 player under her hijab headscarf. According to Daily Express, there was a complaint by a fellow juror who had seen the Muslim woman trying to conceal the wires coming from under her headscarf. Imagine the relief when they turned out to be earphones. It's now time once again for Planet Stupid. So where in the world have people been doing amazingly stupid things this week? Reg, where are you taking us?
I am taking you to Tokyo, Japan. Training is necessary in most jobs, and training for eventuality. In this clip I'm about to show you, here is a zoo that is training for the possible escape of an orangutan. Roll the tape. Now, this is a man in an orangutan suit in a simulation trying to, be loose and be free, and the staff is going to try and put the orangutan to sleep. But unbeknownst to them, there's some children nearby, and they see this man dressed as an orangutan, but they think it's an orangutan. But they seeing the staff come up and shoot. See him shooting? Yep, one more time.
God damn.
Back.
Oh.
Back and to the left. That's right, back and to the left. And then pass out, and then look at the little kid. Look at the little kid. Yeah, kids.
Thank you, Reg. Marcus, where are you taking us?
Well, Sir Trevor, I'm going to take you to a place called Little Chute in Wisconsin, where a man has carved a replica of Mount Rushmore in cheddar. His name is Troy Landwehr. And bizarrely, when I read this, I thought that's a really strange thing. It turns out he is actually a professional cheese carver. That's every morning Troy wakes up and goes, I carve cheese for a living. See if you can guess where the rest of the cheese went.
Reg, is that the passion in America? Cheese, so much cheese? I mean, do you cheese eater yourself?
Yeah, I like cheese. I got family and friends who like cheese, and
Really? It's that much of an epidemic?
yes.
Would you carve cheese?
I wouldn't like say I had free time and I could do what I want to do.
Yeah.
It wouldn't I wouldn't first think I'm gonna carve me some cheese. I wouldn't think that. But then if somebody said, hey man, carving cheese is fun, then if somebody I trusted, I might take them up. But I would think 5 or 10 minutes into carving cheese, I think this ain't really all that fun. I do think it's disgusting, though, that in a world where people starving, like certain countries, they starving, they could use a block of cheese. Like, you drop a big block of cheese in certain parts of Ethiopia, then, they could carve, the things that they admire and the people they admire, then they could eat the cheese, and that betters the relationship between them and America.
Yeah.
But see, Americans don't think about that. They just think, I'm gonna carve this cheese myself.
Thank you, team. Time now for my number one story of the week. It's the long-awaited publication of Alistair Campbell's diaries, revealing intimate details of his time at 10 Downing Street. At his lowest point, Alistair Campbell admits that during the row over the sexed-up Iraq dossier, he contemplated suicide. Well, I'm only 15 pages in, and I know exactly how he feels. In one chapter of the diaries, Tony Blair is quoted as saying, If I cheated on Cherie, she would chew my balls off. No doubt in a single mouthful while eating a grapefruit and playing the harmonica. Earlier today, I spoke to Alistair Campbell at our Westminster studios. Alistair Campbell, everyone's talking about this book, 10 years in the writing, a tumultuous period of conflict, war and terror. People are saying it's the best Harry Potter yet. Do you agree?
And I think that's right. So I think that's right.
But sadly, we're contractually obliged to talk about your book, the Alistair Campbell Diaries. So why do it now?
To show, I hope, that politics, for all the warts, for all the faults, that the people in it are driven by their values, by their beliefs, by wanting to make change in this country.
OK, let's talk about cash for honours. It's also well known that Tony Blair liked a freebie. Is it true that he was offered the chance to spend last Christmas with either Cliff Richard or the Bee Gees?
I was alongside Tony as he made what was clearly the most difficult decision of his life in his career. And it's one that he's going to have to live with for the rest of his life.
You're telling me Sir Cliff cried until Boxing Day.
All I would say to you is that episode is not in the book.
Well, there's quite a lot that's not in the book, isn't there? For instance, that swingers party organised by John Prescott, which went on for days.
It was an incredible week, and it was a big professional challenge.
And you spent a full 24 hours in a gimp outfit.
It was the worst period of my life, without any shadow of a doubt.
Alistair Campbell, thank you. Marcus, you're the king of spin on this show. What do you make of all this?
Well, I've got a copy of his execrable book here. It's massive and it's rubbish. But yeah, it's full of some revelations. I mean, it's not completely uninteresting. I mean, there's the fact that Tony Blair apparently once said, "You know, I'm not as Labour as you lot," which, you know, wouldn't have mattered had he not been talking to the Conservative Party.
Does he tell us anything about the art of politics, you think?
Yes, I mean, I think it's very clear from the book, and it's interesting from his style of writing that he's managed to make it so clear that he is a mendacious, manipulative bully and something of a bastard who's brought not only this government into disrepute, but politics in general. And the sooner he goes away and shrivels up in a tiny corner of the planet and drowns in his own excrement, the happier I'll be. I mean,
I'm getting mixed messages.
Obviously, I've got mixed feelings about him. Sorry, have you read this?
I read some bits of it.
You know you're in it.
I'm
Page
in it.
614. I had a look at this earlier. I've been reading it.
I am.
He says here, Campbell was talking to President George W. Gump, and he says, I said, I hear you didn't like Trevor McDonald. He said it just maddens him the way they all ask the same questions. It's a pain. What did you ask, Bush?
Why the hell did you go into Iraq?
Are you paraphrasing that? Did you say, why the hell did you go into Iraq? Or did you say, Mr. President, why you went to Iraq?
The second.
You can tell me, all right.
But he was still annoyed.
He was still annoyed?
He thought this was out of bounds as a question.
Well, there's lots of weird references to seeing Blair either in the nude or in his pants. He says, it's quoted in December '94, he says, I went in to see Tony Blair, who was standing stark naked reading the Daily Mail.
We've all been there.
There's an image. Of course we have. It makes it so much easier to piss on it.
Reg, is there an Alistair Campbell equivalent in politics in the United States?
Who is Alistair Campbell?
We've only been going on about him for the last 5 minutes, for God's sake.
He's the man whose job it was to make the leader of this country look good. So my guess is the answer is there isn't one in the States.
Dick Cheney, Rumsfeld, Condoleezza Rice, proving that black ain't always beautiful. And
apparently, if Blair was going to be made to step down, there were plans put in place that Prescott should be put in charge of what would be called a caretaker government. I can't think of a single political phrase that is more scary than that other than a cliff-top conga led by David Blunkett. You know...
I intended to publish my diaries, but I was persuaded that they wouldn't be that interesting. 10 o'clock, Red News. 10:30, Shuffle Papers. 10:35, Pub. 2:30 a.m., Carried home by the fuzz. Before we go, we turn to the burning question of the day. Aren't weathermen camp? Let's drop in on weather presenter Justin Mosley from SNN Channel 6, just as he spots a cockroach about to crawl up his leg.
Be pushing across Central Florida, so places like Orlando, Daytona Beach, the Cape Canaveral area, Vero Beach will be getting in on the heavier rainfall, and eventually the I'm so sorry, Bill. Oh my God! This is what just happened. That thing was crawling on my leg. Oh God, if that, oh my God! Oh my God! Oh no!
That's it. Good night.